Testing.
Exposure started. Exposure finished.
Hey guys, you hear me? Just checking the audio right now. I still have my squeaky chair. Got some dogs in the background. NANA, can you hear me all right? Mention it in the chat if you hear me. The Astrophotography Tool seems to be having some problems with plate solving tonight. It's kind of hit and miss, unfortunately. Cat, get off of here. Cat likes to come on up and hop all over my keyboard. Okay, you guys have my audio good. Right now what I'm doing is I'm trying to get the telescope to do plate solving so that we can hit our targets. Hang on a second. See, this is the problem with astrophotography. The equipment is so damn temperamental. But we're going to try and get it working right. That's SharpCap there, and this is Astrophotography Tool. This is what we use to sight the telescope and polar align it. We help focus it, and it also does what's called plate solving, which means that it'll take a picture of the background and then decide what the telescope is actually looking at. So let's see if we're getting an image from that camera. Okay, we're getting an image, good. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell this thing to go over to Andromeda. This is just a nice target to get started on. Andromeda is M31. And this should bring us over to the galaxy, and we'll double check our focus and everything once we're there. Of course, now that I've gone live, the dogs have decided to start talking to each other. They're just barking at random. Right here you can see where the telescope is actually pointing. Now Andromeda is down around 41 degrees declination and about 43 minutes or so right ascension. So we should be more or less out in the area. This is the guide scope right here. Back on SharpCap is going to be the main telescope. You see I've got 21-second exposure going here, but it's reflecting the movement of the telescope here. Let's see if this thing here will solve. So here's the location of the telescope. We'll go ahead and put those coordinates in, and we'll see if it'll solve and figure out what the telescope's actually pointing at. Normally this gets done within 20 or 30 seconds. But you see it takes this picture right here and it compares it to the stars on the star map in the vicinity of where the telescope thinks it's pointing. And it'll match it to a plate there. If it hasn't solved by about 45 or 50 seconds, we're going to try something a little different. Normally, if it's going to solve it, it'll solve it pretty quickly. So we'll go off of live view and we'll try and shoot a photograph right there and see whether or not that'll take it.
Exposure finished.
Now it should stop saying busy here for a minute. This may be the problem, it's hanging. See, it's still listed as busy. So I'm going to go take that camera off real quick and restart it and see whether or not maybe that might work a little better. Now the plan tonight is I'm just going to head over to Andromeda briefly. And then what I would like to do is I would like to head over to Bode's Galaxy and the Cigar Galaxy. We'll restart Astrophotography Tool. Looks like we've got pretty decent focus on the main camera right here.
Camera connected. Telescope connected. Exposure started.
Now this should take an image. We'll see if it works.
Finished.
Still hanging up on that. Sometimes we can get away with doing it on a live shot. Let's see if that'll do it. thing here. That's not where the telescope is. That's the problem. Now it's doing it again. One last try. All right. Yeah, I'm thinking about putting some grease on those hinges. We'll do that pretty soon. This is irritating because, you know, you want to do this and all you have to do is get the damn telescope to work properly. You know, it shouldn't be asking too much of it. Make sure that we've got, now we want sidereal. Good.
Camera connected. Telescope connected.
All right, so the camera appears to be connected properly.
Exposure started. Exposure finished.
Let's close this and see whether or not maybe that might be doing it.
Image solved.
All right, looks like things are working here a little bit better. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to M31, which is Andromeda. And we're going to see, just to check the focus and make sure that the scope's tracking properly and such. That'll be kind of fun. I like Andromeda, it's a cool galaxy. There's 3 right next to each other that are pretty easy to see. There's more. There's more galaxies around Andromeda, but 3 of them are pretty easy to see. I think it's M34 and M110. The M stands for Messner number. That was an astronomer in France back in the 18th century that had a catalog of these. I think there's around 110 of them. It's one of the many star catalogs that we use. All right, that's settled. Let's do a scope position on it. See if we can solve that one. Let's see if this thing actually changes.
Camera disconnected. Camera connected.
I want to see if we're actually getting an image from the camera. Because these three stars aren't changing at all right here. This is the ASCOM driver right here, by the way. This is the computer program that moves the scope remotely. Let's see if it's moving it. I can hear it moving. But the image is, yeah, the image is changing now. Good. Just doesn't want to solve the image, does it? Try something a little different here. Let's go over Stellarium. The scope disconnected. See? Now what this does is this will link the telescope in Stellarium to my ASCOM telescope in my mount. And that should connect nicely there. Telescope thinks that it's parked. Now I've got to go put it in the park position. Okay, so now the telescope is pointing right up here by the North Celestial Pole. So what we'll do is we'll go down here to Bode's galaxy, which isn't that far away, and see whether or not that'll connect. You know, I'll tell you, it's an absolute pain in the ass when you get everything together and everything should be working just fine, and it doesn't work. Kind of pisses me off. That's the aggravating thing about astrophotography. You get everything all put together, and it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. Doesn't want to do it. Let's just try using this one program, see whether or not maybe it's just the fact that there are other programs running is causing it a problem. It might be the OBS. There may be a conflict of some sort between OBS and the program as well. Okay, so there's the North Star. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to Bode's galaxy, which is M31. We'll load the coordinates in with that. Or, excuse me, it's M81. My bad. Come on. Do you not see me unpark that telescope? Here's our scope position right now. We're going to try and do a plate solve on that. See, we got a couple of stars out here that we can look at. Image is solved. We have a solution. So now it knows where the scope is actually pointing. We're going to hit sync, and that'll tell us exactly where the scope really is pointing. So I told it to go to Bode's galaxy. Let's see where it actually went. Give it a second. Now you see I commanded the telescope to go to Bode's galaxy. It thought that it went here, but it's actually right here. So let's go see whether or not we can move that over. All right. That's a good sign, right? Let's have a look. Let's have a look at our guide scope here. That may be Bode's galaxy right there. Let's get a better look at it though. Now this is SharpCap. This is the main camera program. This is the camera Wolfie 6020 got me. It's a ZWO 294 color camera. Now the problem that I had just getting started on this tonight was that somehow my camera or my telescope and the guide scope got knocked out of sync and I had to realign them real quick. So we'll see whether or not that actually worked. Do about an 8-second exposure here. We'll go down here to the histogram and see if we get any data that shows up. Yep, there's some data. So we'll go to the lightning bolt here. And I'm thinking that might be it right there. Let's do a little bit longer exposure here. Let's give it about a 30-second exposure and see what we have. Hey, Joe. I see Joe Whips out there. Okay. That does indeed appear to be a galaxy right there. Let's go see if we can move this over a little bit. See if we can get the Cigar Galaxy in here, and then I'll go check the focus on it a little. But that little red spot right there is the galaxy. What we'll do is we'll try and move it over here more towards the center. Let's go see which way this goes. We'll look at this big one right here. See where it moves. So it moved down a little bit, it looks like. Let's see if we move it over to the side some. Wrong way. Let's try the other way. Okay, there's the Cigar Galaxy. You see it there on the left? All right. Here we go. So, here's Bode's Galaxy, and there's the Cigar Galaxy right out there. Let's give it a little longer exposure here, and we'll see what we have. Bode's Galaxy is a beautiful spiral galaxy. And the Cigar Galaxy is the same thing, only it's on end, so it looks like a cigar. See, there's the Cigar Galaxy. And this is Bode's Galaxy. Looks like we might be just a hair out of focus. Let's go see if we can move that up a little bit better towards the center. We'll go on out and see if we can get some better focus on it. Yeah, that's looking a little better framed. All right. We'll give that about a 60-second exposure here real quick. Then we'll have a good look and see how the focus is looking. All right, so we've got another 10 seconds, and then it'll process it for a second. We'll see if we can get a little better view here. There you go. I think we can do a little better job with that focus though. I'm going to let that run for another one. Let me just cut this mic real quick. I'm going to go on out and just play with the focus for a minute. Talk amongst yourselves. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut the time of this exposure down a little bit. I just wanted to let you see what we were looking at here. So we're going to cut this down to about 8. And we're also going to take the gain and take it from the proper amount of about 120. We're going to bring it all the way up. And then we're going to go over to something here called Focus Assistant, Batten Off Mask. Now, a batten off mask is a disc with some slots in it to set up some refraction patterns. And we're going to go see if we can get a little better focus with that. Well, I'm still not all that happy with the focus. But I took the mask off and we'll see whether or not maybe it looks a little bit better. Even moving on the deck causes enough of a vibration to disrupt this thing a little bit. But you can pretty clearly see that. You can see the Cigar and you can see the Cigar Galaxy right here, and then you can see Bode's Galaxy. Here's another one of the little, this is the Garland Galaxy right down here. So there's 3 galaxies right here. Now the cool thing about it is in each of these galaxies, there's literally billions of stars. And given the number of stars, they probably have planets around them, so there's probably 20 or 30 or 50 or 100 civilizations in each of these looking back at us. Let's go see the big one. Let's see if we can get a view of the big one here. Here's the movement. Apparently past a real bright star right here. Now it's slowing down. That's actually, that wouldn't be a bad background now, would it? That would be kind of a cool background for my desktop. While we're doing this, let's go see what's going on in the live stream here. Yeah, I use the ZWO cameras. All right, so we got stars here. Cool. Let's go see where we are. Now what we want to do is we want to see little compass rose up here. There you go. We found it. Let's go see where we are. So you see we're a little bit off the Andromeda Galaxy, which is to be expected. And now it's moving right onto it. And there it is right there, right under the center. Let's go see it on the big camera. And there they are. So this is Andromeda right here. There's the Andromeda Galaxy. There's one of the dust lanes, they call it. This is M110, and I think this is M34 here. Let's go get a little better lineup on that. That's actually a pretty nice picture of Andromeda. See how much larger that appears to be? That's 2.5 million light years away. It's much closer than either Bode's or the Cigar Galaxy. Let's drop this down to a little shorter exposure and move a little bit on it. 4 seconds. Let's see if we see some stars with that. All right. So let's go see if what happens when we move it that way. Okay. Not at all unhappy with that. Let's go up this way a little bit though. Well, wrong way. Let's bring it over here. Give me a second. That looks good right there. That's right where I want it. So we got a galaxy down here, we got another one over here. Sorry about the dogs, guys. Now, while that's cooking, I'm going to check this real quick, make sure that this is on sidereal. I don't want offset, I want sidereal. There we go. Now let's see if we can get a nice picture here. This should be a pretty one. Hey, Chris. Chris Dunham Music channel is responsible for my Bob the Science Guy theme, the Flat Earth Wars. The other one that the original Bob the Science Guy theme came from Canadian Thomas and a guy by the name of Jamie Dupree who plays harp guitar and loaned me his music. There we go. So here's a galaxy. There's the center of Andromeda, and there's another galaxy out here. Now we can actually make that a little bit better by stretching it. So now you see the Andromeda Galaxy. This is M110 out here. That's M34, I believe it is. These are the dust lanes that you can get. Now you see these little bitty tails right here? That probably came from my very first exposure when I changed it to the sidereal rate. Let's see if it gets better. Now there's another thing that we can do for that as well. I'm going to shut this down here for a second. This is something called PHD2, which stands for Push Here Dummy. We're going to connect the mount and my guide scope to that. And we're going to see if we can get an image from my guide scope. Yep, there we go. Now we're going to pick a star in there, any star. Now we're going to start guiding on that star. And we're going to see if that's going to hold it a little steadier. See how the tails are kind of going away a little bit? Let's see how this next one looks. So you don't have as many of the tails anymore. Now on this next one, with some guiding going on, let's see if we can get this a little steadier. These are little corrections being put into the mount. That's actually not too bad of a picture there. I'm still not happy with the focus on this though. go see what else we have around here. Triangulum is another galaxy out in that neck of the woods. It's a spiral galaxy, but it's more on end. I don't know, in any event, that's Andromeda. Let's go see if we can have a look at Triangulum. We gotta stop guiding, that's what's causing the problem. The scope disconnect? Oh, there it is, coming around here. You see it? Sometimes, even though you'd think it only has to go about that far, it has to, based on the way the mount is and such, it needs to kind of go in a different direction. So we'll disconnect that camera. We'll put the camera back on here.
Camera connected.
Go to a live shot. I'm not sure that's the actual shot there. Let's go up here and see what we have. It's a little better when the darn thing works, huh? Okay, so there's the current thing that we're looking at. I don't know if this will be able to solve this. It doesn't look like it's got a lot of stars in it. It's near, the Triangulum Galaxy is in the constellation Triangularum. Oh, it did solve. I'll be damned. Let's go see where we are. So once again, we're a little bit off, which isn't bad considering the thing went out to East Jesus, Nebraska and came back. Let's go see if we can get in on Triangularum. Okay, that should be on it. Let's get a nice long... Oh, there it is. I think I saw it. Looks like it's coming over here. Give it a second. We'll get the next image without the movement. Yep, that's it right there. Now what we'll do is we'll move it over a little bit, kind of get into the right neck of the woods, and then we'll take some long exposures and see what they look like. That's actually not a bad shot of it. Triangularum's a pretty galaxy. And you can see it right there. That's just the core of the galaxy. think I went the wrong way. There it is. See it right there? Yeah, it's a little bit better right there. Got kind of a diamond shape. It's in the middle of that. So let's go ahead. Let's be adventurous and give it a 30-second or a 60-second image here, and we'll see what it looks like. Now right down here you can see how long we have to go. So 47 seconds now, 46. This is my favorite part, just waiting for him to come up. Oh, the meridian flip. That's actually on the other side. That I haven't really dealt with those too much. Wolfie's got a couple of examples of it. But yeah, when you're doing really long exposures, the problem that you run into is the telescope actually has to flip over on the mount and it has to reacquire your target. All right, here we go. Let's go see what this looks like. Okay, that's the raw image right there. Now what we'll do is we'll hit the auto stretch on it. See, all the data is down here. And this is the image that we're looking at. We want to move this over into here. And the easiest way to do it is just click it like that. And there is the Triangularum Galaxy. You see the big spiral arms? Still not real happy with this focus. This is probably going to be risking it a bit, but let's try a 2-minute exposure and see what happens. These stars are kind of bloated. I think that has to do more with the focus than anything else. I'd like to find a nice... Actually, what we should do is probably go back to Polaris and see if I can focus a little better on that with a Bahtinov mask. I want to see what this 2-minute image is going to look like, though. Oh, wait a minute. Why did that go with 60 seconds? We'll get this image, then I'm going to go on out and try and refocus on Polaris and get a little crisper stars. I'd like to see them a little bit better than that. But I need a really bright star to be able to focus on, so we'll use Polaris. Let's see if there's anything right next to it. Got about another minute to go. We'll let that image once or twice. Let you guys enjoy that for a minute. Well, surprisingly, that didn't turn out too bad, but I'm not real happy with the focus on this. Let's see if we can do a little better than that. So what we'll do is we'll go over here to Astrophotography Tool. We'll go to Objects. Under Gear. We're going to go to Stars. And these are all stars that we can zero in on, but let's find a nice bright one. Polaris is a good one. We'll hit OK. And then what will happen is we'll hit Go To, and you can watch the telescope we'll have a look at a couple of these star clusters here once I get this focused a little better. I'll show you how to use the focuser tool. Okay, so there's Polaris right there. We got to go down a little bit. And what we'll do here, give it about an 8-second exposure. There's Polaris right there. Let's get this moved up a little bit more towards the center, and we should be able to get a good focus on that. Well, in any event, let's go see if that'll work. So what we'll do is we'll again go out here. Ah, it went the wrong way. See, what we're doing is it's rotating. You see how the stars are rotating? That's because the telescope, the mount is centered at the North Celestial Pole, which is over in this general area. And what they're doing is they're rotating around it. This one here should move it a little bit more. See how they're forming an arc? Wrong way. That should get it a little bit closer to the center. Now I'm going to go put the batten-off mask on, and what you'll see is 3 refraction lines. What they're going to do is you're going to see 2 lines that will go through the star like that in a cross, and then a third one will go through the center. Now you're in focus when that third line goes directly where those other lines cross. Let's see how far off we are here. I'm going to go increase the whoops, wrong one. Let's increase the gain on this a little bit so it's a little brighter. So when I put the mask on, you'll be able to see the refraction lines a lot easier. Give me a second. Okay, now you see when I first went out there, we have the 2 refraction lines coming here. These are secondary ones. And then here's the spike that goes through the middle. When I first went out there, it was off to this side a little bit. Now it's a little bit more centered. And when I take the mask off, you'll see that star is a lot sharper. You know, it wasn't all that far off, but it was far enough that it was bothersome. Now you see, look how pinpointy these stars are now. That's much better. So let's go find some other targets. Let's find something that's nearby. Let's have a look at the Heart and Soul Nebula. See if we can get a nebulae tonight. I'll show you what they look like. See how this looks like a heart? And then this is the soul. So it's the Heart and Soul Nebula. Let's go see where we are. Do a point craft. We'll put in the coordinates of the scope. See if it'll solve. Got a couple of stars there. You can see it looks like a little bit of it. Yeah, it solved it without any problems. Let's go see where we actually are. Yeah, not too bad. Now here's the problem that you run into with telescopes. There's the Heart and Soul Nebula. That's an 8-second exposure. That's just not going to cut it. We're going to give it a 60-second. But these are very, very large objects. And the problem is the bigger your scope is, the narrower your field of view is. If you really want to get both those nebulae in one frame, you're going to have to actually use a camera with about a 300mm lens on an equatorial mount. Then you can get them all. That's why they use short focal lengths for that. Conversely, with planets, what you want is a big aperture and high magnification, because even though they're much closer, they're very tiny objects. This thing here is 150 arc seconds on a side. It's a square 150 arc seconds. This camera can only hit about 60 arc seconds at a time. So let's go see what this looks like. But you see how nice and pinpoint those stars are now? We'll look at some of our earlier targets now that we've got a little better focus. There it is. See it? There's the Heart Nebulae right there. Let's go see if we can let's clean that up a little bit and see what we can do with it. See? That's a nebulae right there. Now, in order to get a really good picture of this, what you want to do is you want to take maybe an hour's worth of exposures, 60-second exposures, or 120 30-second exposures, and then you stack them one on top of another so all these little stars line up. And then that's how you do that. I'll show you. Would you guys like to see how that's done? Because I've got one right here that we can do that real quick. Yeah, you can, Chris, you can get the Heart and Soul with a 300mm. Now, Rob, you can't really use a batten-off mask on a planet. The planet itself, it's not that it's bright, it's too big. What you use is a different type of a focuser which has 3 holes set in an equilateral triangle. And what happens is that gives you 3 different images of Venus. And what you do is you bring those images together until they form one image, and then it's in focus. But that's the Heart Nebula right there. Let's see if we can get another shot of that. Yep. So that's pretty good. That's not too bad. Let's go see what else we have out here. So you see what we're seeing is we're seeing this band right here, and then it's going off to the side. See it? So we've got a little band right here, and then we got a little angle. It's upside down, it looks like. But that's the nebulae right up here. We'll see whether or not maybe we can center it a little bit better. And then we'll do a couple of 2-minute exposures. How's that sound? So we know right now it's in the upper left corner. So what we'll do is we'll go down here, we'll get some shorter exposures. Something that we just want to be able to see how the stars move. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to move this field down this way. So let's go see what we can do with that. See which way that moves it. Wrong way. I'm hoping that'll move it that way. Let's see if I got it out of the field here. Do a little bit longer exposure right here, about 15 seconds. Rats, I don't see it. Here, I'll tell you what, let's go over here to the Sol Nebula. Make sure the stars are all set on that. Let that settle down for a minute. All right. We're going to shoot a 120-second exposure on that. Fraser Cain's Star Party? Yeah, Rob, I need a remote camera rotator, but more importantly, what I need is a remote focuser. It's $500. I was talking to him today, and quite frankly, I'm trying to justify doing that. I can rotate this manually, I mean, there's no problem with that at all. But, you know, that would be a nice thing. The focuser would be really cool because I live up here where there's a lot of snow and it's kind of nasty outside during the winter. And it would be very nice to be able to control it from right here. I want to see what this looks like because I'm betting that thing's right in here. Got some kind of reddish stars in here. There's some discoloration. I'm thinking that's probably where the nebula is. Well, we'll give it another 30 seconds, but that's what we're looking at right there, see? We're going to be looking at this one. But that'll give you an idea of how big these things are compared to the field of view with the telescope. This is tracking pretty well tonight too, and I'm not even using the tracking software. That's great when you're doing multiple images, you know, where you're doing 60 or 100 or 200 images. There it is right there. See it? Let's stack that, or let's, but it's right in here. Actually, you can see a little better that way. But this is the Sol Nebula right here. We're off to the side a little bit, but not too bad. Let's go see what else we have out here. There's a couple of nice little star clusters out here. This is the California Nebula. I haven't looked at this one yet. Let's go see whether or not I can hit that. I'm going to have to go out and check the telescope and make sure it's not going into the trees or something. Let me go see where that's more or less pointed. Yeah, we should be able to hit that. Let's go see. I'll get a slightly shorter exposure here. Do about a 30-second exposure and see what it looks like. That's just a little light pollution, I think. Yeah, there's something shining on that. Yeah, let's go see if that lens is starting to get some fog on it. This one right here,
Image solved.
this right here is the guide scope, and it doesn't have any, it doesn't have a dew shield on it or a heater. The main scope does have a dew heater on it. Boy, oh boy, is that the California nebulae out there? No, that can't be. That's got to be stray light. There's a lot of light out here by the lake. Some of the houses have these aircraft landing lights they use as porch lights. Let's see if it's just a one. I'm going to give it one more exposure here. Maybe it's just a bad angle for the telescope because of those lights. Nope, that's the nebulae. It's got some color to it, doesn't it? Let me show you what we're looking at, and this is the problem that you run into when you have too much telescope for what you need. So here's the nebulae that we're looking at. We're just seeing a very small part of that. That's the whole California nebulae right there. You see, it actually looks like the state of California. Now this one here is kind of interesting. Show you where we are. We're actually right in this nebula right here. This is kind of a star cluster with three distinct nebulae in it. Now, if you look at the main image, it's not helping us here very much for the simple reason. Here are the stars, but I think we're starting to look through some trees here. But it's still kind of neat to look at, isn't it? So we can't go that way. I don't know what this is, but it sounds cool. Anything called the Jolly Roger cluster ought to be cool. Let that settle down for a second.
Image solved.
Well, as much trouble as that image solving gave me earlier, you see how quick it actually works. Whoops, didn't want to do that. A lot of Latin words, you can kind of make them out based on how they sound. Camelopardalis kind of is suggestive of an animal. And unfortunately, it's not the one that we all think of. It's actually giraffe. And if you think about it, a giraffe kind of looks like a camel with a long neck. So not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and solve this again just because I moved it accidentally.
Image solved.
There we go. Make sure it's where I want to be. Yep. There it is. That must be the Jolly Rogers cluster right there. Yep. There's the Jolly Rogers cluster right there. That's a star cluster. While that's taking another image, let's see if we have anything else neat that's over here. I'll tell you what, now that we have this thing all perfectly focused, let's go have a look at Andromeda again. We'll get a couple of nice shots of that. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was already over there. I was looking at Mars with a big telescope earlier. That was kind of neat.
Image solved.
That was something that was really frustrating to me when I first started doing this. You know, you'd tell the thing to slew to a certain location, and you'd go to look, and it wouldn't be there, and you had no idea where it was. With this plate solving, you can actually slew to an object, and then what you can do is try and figure out where it ended up, and then where you still need to go to get to where you're looking. So let's move this over a little bit. I think that's the way we need to go. I love Halloween. I've got a house full of candy right now. Yeah, it moved it kind of in the right direction. Now what we're going to do, let's let that settle and then we'll do some longer exposures. Shoot, that moved it the wrong way. Hey, Gage.
Yeah.
Come here.
Oh, wow. Did you take that?
I'm taking it right now.
Oh, my.
Hang on. Give it a second. No, this is a live shot.
Wow. Holy.
Let's make this. I'm not a patient man.
Me either.
I want to move this over.
Oh, my goodness. That looks so beautiful. Wow. Is this like a new software that you have?
No,
It isn't?
I'm just doing a live stream. Say hi to the audience.
Well, hello, audience.
What's up?
So cool. Yeah.
Give it a second.
Is this called a certain thing?
Yeah, it's called a certain thing. It's
Like-
called the Andromeda Galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how we actually have names for these things. It's almost as though we looked at them before.
Right. It's almost like we've like put it on a map and stuff.
Yeah.
Almost.
There's so much.
All right, let's make this really pretty, guys. Let's make a 2-minute exposure here. We'll put it back to the raw. So that's what Andromeda looks like through a telescope. Now you can really see that nicely with binoculars too. It's really easy to see.
That's some crazy.
So we're gonna sit down. Yeah, especially when you have crazy binoculars like me.
I'm sucker.
I have crew serve binoculars.
Have you tried putting it on that other mount yet?
Yeah, works great.
Does it? That's good.
Well, take a finger off if you're not careful with it though.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. I pinched us a couple of times when we were setting it up.
Let's see what's going on here in chat.
How many people are on it?
Oh, I don't have many. I've only got about 11 on right now.
Well, I mean, it's also late.
You know, it's more than
Yeah.
any of my streams got.
Yeah, this is a ZW-294 camera. This is the one that Wolfie donated to the channel.
I remember that.
My streams tapped out about 3. One of them was my brother.
Yeah, the filter, I've got an H203 filter that they want $300 for. And then, you know, you take the remote focuser, that's $500. This is not a cheap hobby.
Oh yeah.
The mount that I've got to get for the big telescope is $3,500.
Really? The big,
Yeah.
big one?
Yeah, the big one.
Oh my. Is that just like a newer mount for it?
No, it's like the one I have out there, but that's a big telescope and it needs a big mount.
Right. It needs a lot of weight to be able to.
Doggone it.
Have you seen the big one yet, X?
Somebody jumped on the floor, man.
Actually, I think he might be using it right now.
Is that what's projecting? That's probably what's zooming in.
I think so, yeah. Because there's
It blurred, man. Look at those streaks. But this is really neat because you can see the dust line here. While that second picture's taken, let me show you what that actually looks like on Stellarium.
so crazy.
So much like light.
Look at
So
this.
much out there.
So here's M110.
He taught me how to
Here's M110 right here.
read the North Star.
And then here's M32. We're looking at that. Here's the Andromeda Galaxy, and these are those dust lanes that we're seeing.
So crazy.
Let's go see. Sensor ZWO. Okay, so we've got the Orion EON here. So you see, here's what we're actually looking at. This is what we're seeing on our sensor right now. Notice the writing is upside down, so in reality, we're looking at it the other way. That's kind of cool. The nice thing about this is you can actually check different sensors. So for example, if I was using the Canon DSL in this telescope, it would be about the same as the ZW240. This is the spotter scope if I had that, or the camera that's on the spotter scope if I had it hooked up to the main telescope. I can go back to the Canon and then I can switch telescopes here. Here's what I would see with the big 10-inch Meade. So rather than look at Andromeda, you'd probably want to look over here at M110. You could get that in the frame, but you certainly couldn't get anywhere near the amount of detail on Andromeda. And then here's what you would see with a camera. That's what it looks like with a camera right there. So you see that. What I'm using is I've got a field flattener or a 6.3 reducer. What that does is that drops my focal length on my telescope from 660 millimeters down to about 420 millimeters. Gives me a little bigger field of vision and a little flatter field of vision. Yeah, it's a little better. They're still getting some vibration in the floor here because the boys were downstairs. But that's pretty neat. Got 3 galaxies here. Remember what I said about the other one? There's probably 400 or 500 civilizations looking back at us right now. Let's go see what else we have around here. We can try and get a little better shot of Triangularum too. Thinking that's right where I need to be. See the little pentagram of stars here?
Image solved.
Yeah, we're dead on. So we're going to give that a 2-minute exposure and see what it looks like. Let's go ahead and restart it here. Yeah, here are the stars. Yeah, Rob, there's a lot of art to it. You know, you can do it in 30 or 40 seconds, or you can just put hours upon hours into it. Give me a second and I'll show you one that I did while we're waiting for this to come out. Yeah, another 20 seconds. We'll see what it looks like. I'd like to learn how to live stack with this thing. I seem to have some trouble doing it. It's something I've got to practice with a little bit. There we go. I got some movement on that, man. Let me see what's going on with that. It went back to offset again. Citadel's what you want. So let's try this again, see if we can get a better picture. See, when you use offset, it tends to get some movement in it like you saw there. So we'll try and take that one again. Yeah, it's going to take a while to do that. I don't know if PhD would do that. It might. But PhD's not running right now. See? See, PhD is not running right now. So it shouldn't have done that. Maybe when I had it up earlier it did. Boy, that turned out nice, didn't it? It almost looks three-dimensional now. Now that we got these stars cleared up a little bit. Look at that. It went to offset again. That's irritating. Now, just to give you an idea, this is kind of, this is what this looks like when you first take a series of images and stack them. You get this little file right here. And I was just going to show you real quick kind of how you do this. There we go. That's what I wanted. All right. So here's our basic image right here. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. Come on. That's weird. I'm going to restart this one here. There was a problem with my account. It wanted me to sign into it again.
Closing.
Man, that's irritating. It went over again. I don't know why that thing keeps changing like that. That's just very strange. I want to see if I can pull something up here real quick. And it went back again. That's bizarre. I'm wondering if this thing here is just going bad on me. Let me try and restart that one.
Image solved.
There we go. Now let's see if that'll do this a little bit better. And went right back. I don't think I've ever seen it do that before. So no long images there. Let's go see what else we have here. I'm gonna go check and see if I can see Mars out there. Well, Mars isn't available right now, but we do have another target out there that's going to be kind of fun. Let's see if we can find this in the night sky. Right now, a telescope should be slewing over here. Oh, I know why it's not. I restarted it. That means that I've got to reconnect it up here. There we go. There it is. All right, telescope got lost. I've got to go reset it to park, and I'll be right back. Excuse me. Well, let's go see if we can get this going again. All right. Oh hell, it doesn't know where it is. I'm going to restart this ASCOM driver. Oh, now it's... Yeah, it went right back. No idea what's going on with this thing. Believe it or not, my other telescope is in the way. All right, let's go figure out where we are. It's not reading the scope position. Let me restart Astrophotography Tool.
Event closing. Camera connected. Telescope connected.
That's what happened last time. For some reason, the plate solving just didn't work, or quit working. Well, in any event, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and look at the moon another time. We've been out here for a couple of hours. It's been really nice to just kind of hang out with you guys. I don't think it's the plate solver that switches it to offset because I wasn't using it. You know, the only thing that I had going on it, I didn't have anything that was, switching it. I think it's probably just getting tired. I still have an hour or so work to move all this crap back inside, so I think I'm probably going to go ahead and call her quits for right now. But this is the way I kind of want to do these in the future. You know, I come on out and look at this stuff myself. Why not share it with you guys? Unfortunately, I've got kind of a limited field of view here. I can get out to about right here, and then come up, and then I can make it out to about right here. I can't see any of the rest of this here. All of this stuff here I can't see. I've just basically got that, and as you see, it's kind of a clear area of sky compared to the really interesting stuff here more towards the south. But hey, we can make it work. I'm going to go ahead and pull up, I've got a really good book called The Moon in Detail that breaks the moon into about 15 different sections and goes over each section in excruciating detail. But with the telescope that I have right now, I can actually hit those targets. So that won't be too bad. That'll be kind of a fun thing to do in the future. So in any event, this is Bob the Science Guy. Thank you guys very much for stopping by and chewing up a few hours with me. It's really nice to do that. I have about 100 hours left on this before I can actually get my 4,000 hours on this particular channel. But I'm really glad that you stopped by. Nobody came into the Zoom meeting tonight for over 40 minutes, so it kind of just shut down on its own. But it was up there. We'll have another Zoom meeting later on so we can talk back and forth. Good night, everybody. Thanks again for coming by.